Extranet Collaboration Manager 2013 contains a framework called registration receivers that can be used to inject custom programming activities into the ExCM registration pipeline. In part 1 of this series, I will be discussing the SPUser receiver. Now, registration receivers are configured at the web config level, and I have a web config file open here, and you can see this is the registration receiver area. And again, we'll be talking about the SPUser, and in the next video, the membership profile. The SPUser receiver enhances the experiences of your site by making it more consistent to both internal and external users. It replaces the title field up here with the user's full name rather than their username, which by default in ExCM is their email address. So it's going to make it more consistent for your internal and external users that are both going to feel like they're working on the same site, and it's going to be more professional looking. Before we begin, let's briefly touch on the data that the receiver modifies. The title field that I referred to earlier is part of the SharePoint user information list, which you can see on the screen here. Now this is a hidden list, but you can access it by going to this URL on your own site. So just the URL of your site, /catalogs/users/simple.aspx. The user information list stores information about a user using metadata such as picture, email, display name, login name, etc. So now that we have a better understanding of registration receivers and the data that they modify, let's take a look at the default behavior on a forms-based SharePoint site with ExCM and how the SPUser receiver improves that behavior. The first thing to keep in mind is that registration receivers only occur at the time of registration. So that means the registration has to occur and be successful before the receivers are applied. This is important because any users that are manually created will not have the receiver activity run against them. So the first thing I'm going to do is manually create an Fba account named Tony@acme.com in the Extranet Users section of the management menu. So I'm going to scroll down, click Extranet Users. And we'll go over to the Users tab, New User. It's going to be Tony@acme.com. I'm going to say Tony Taylor. We'll skip all the rest. Give him visitor access. And click Save. So we can see at the bottom here, Tony's been created. So now let's go back to the top level of our site. And I'm going to close my other windows or tabs, and I'm going to sign out. So now let's sign in as Tony. As we can see up here in the title field, Tony@acme.com appears rather than the full Tony Taylor name. So now what we're going to do is sign back out one more time. And I'm actually going to complete an anonymous or self-registration over here so we can see what happens when the receiver is actually applied to a registration. So in this case, I'm going to do Marcus@acme.com. Give him a password. Marcus Miller, Acme, he's in sales. Click Finish. So it says it's been accepted. Let's go ahead and continue to log in. And enter information. Sign in. And as you can see, Marcus Miller now appears up here in the title area. So the SPUser receiver has actually taken the values I provided for first and last name at the time of the registration, concatenated them or put them together, and then replaced the default value, which would be the email address used by the title field. And again, this is going to create a more consistent experience across your site for both internal and external users. So that wraps up our video on the SPUser registration receiver. Please join us for the next part of this series where we will discuss the membership profile receiver. Thanks for watching.